Hi everyone, welcome back to another week on the Brush by Brandy YouTube channel. This week we are working on another jewelry box, and this one's really sweet. It's actually for a really good customer of mine, and she wanted to do one as a gift for her mom. And so she sent me some inspiration from her mom's room, which consisted of some whites, some white marble. She's got some blues, like French blues in there. And so I'm going to take those French blues. She also has a piece that I've done before that has peacocks on it. So I'm taking inspiration from that. And we are going to kind of make this a little personal gift to her mom, and it comes out looking really sweet. So we're going to be using some transfers. We're going to be doing a little bit of stamping. It's very personal. I think you guys will like this one. So stick around and let's get started. All right, here's where I started on this jewelry box. My customer picked it right out of my inventory, and we're going to give it a makeover. I always start my jewelry boxes by taking them completely apart. Any piece of hardware that can come off comes off of the piece. A tiny set of screwdrivers is an important thing to have when you're working on jewelry boxes. They come in handy a lot. So I'm using this tiny screwdriver just to pop off my handles. You always want to be careful when taking apart jewelry box hardware. Sometimes the hardware can be glued in and it can actually break when you go to pop it out. So just be careful, make sure it's intended to come out. The next thing I'm going to do on this is tape off the velvet lining. It's in really good condition. It doesn't need to be replaced or cleaned or anything, so I want to go ahead and preserve it while I'm painting my box. I do plan to go white on this jewelry box, and so I want to give it a coat of spray primer. The only purpose this primer is giving is to give it a unified color underneath my paint. This is 123 primer from the hardware store, and I'm just going to give it a quick one coat over. I'm being careful not to get paint anywhere near my velvet, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray each individual piece on its own. I'm still going to be giving this a coat of paint, so I just want to make sure I get as much as I can. If there's any spots missing, that's okay. I'll get those when I come back with my coat of paint. This is my favorite secret, you guys. This is glass frosting spray. These glass panels that are in jewelry boxes can sometimes be not so pretty, and that was the case with these. Sometimes they have etchings in them that are dated, so I come over them with a coat of glass frosting spray. Sometimes it takes multiple coats, and this totally updates the look of the glass. The body of this jewelry box is going to be done in Antique Villa from Wiesel Paint. I'm using one of my small Klingon brushes to get into all the crevices. I'm going to paint every detail of this box. This is where having multiple sizes of brushes really comes in handy. I do make sure I paint inside every crevice of the box. So I've got all the drawers removed. I'm going to paint inside all of the drawer boxes. I also ended up pulling out those jewelry pegs. They did remove, and I painted those to match as well. I generally don't bring home jewelry boxes that need the lining replaced. It's not something I'm particularly good at, and it is very time consuming. So I try to choose boxes that I can just clean up the felt a little bit and they look good as is. This got 2 coats of my Wiesel paint, and I'm ready to move on to my next step. For inspiration, my customer gave me the ideas of some whites, some French blues. She's got some marbles in her room, and so I wanted to pull in the blue, and this French ceramics transfer from Redesign with Prima was just perfect. It's got beautiful shades of blue in it. So I'm going to apply this all up the front of the jewelry box drawers, but I need to be careful because they all have a sort of molded detail in them. And so I'm going to work the transfer into each individual molding, one drawer at a time. I'm just going to slice away the excess, and then I'll move on to my next drawer. I'm using the stick that comes in the package with the transfer to push the transfer into the crevices on the drawer. Then I use my finger to work them in, and I'm ready to move on. This one had 4 drawers in it, so I'm just going to work my way down the front until I'm completely finished. The tools that I always have out when I'm doing this is, of course, my transfer tool that comes in the package. I have a pair of scissors and always a sharp razor knife. It makes this job really easy. I do a lot of cutting. I'm going to cut this transfer apart into little tiny pieces that match up with the seams on my jewelry box. I always pay attention to the backs of my jewelry boxes, and on this one I decided to go ahead and add the coordinating transfer up the back as well. For my next step on this one, I did decide to add some stamps. These are from Redesign with Prima, and I'm just using their black stamp pad. I'm going to go ahead and ink my stamp just by pressing it onto the stamp itself, and then I'm going to evenly place it onto my furniture piece and press it down. I also added my stamps to the sides of my drawers. Here you can see I added some to the back of my piece. I ended up not liking that as much, so I just painted right over them. So let's pay attention to my glass panels. So I put the frosted glass spray on them. It's nice and dry for a couple days now, and I want to go ahead and add a transfer over the top. This is the Rare Birds transfer from Redesign with Prima. It's one of their mini transfers, which makes it perfect size for jewelry boxes. I'm going to apply these 2 coordinating birds to each of the glass panels. I chose the birds because they have the blues in them. They also tie in with the black I use for my stamping, and the whites. They're all the colors that my customer chose as her inspiration. With all my steps complete, I gave the body 2 coats of clear and put everything back together, and this one is done. I really love how the French ceramic ties in with the Rare Birds. This one turned out beautiful. What do you guys think? You can find links for everything I used in this video in the description of this post. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, click that subscribe button. As always, you can find more Brushed by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and on my website at brushedbybrandy.com.